Okay, I wanted to record a quick one to kind of help my class on a project we're working on. And so this project is a web application called Sports Pro, and this is an MVC web application.net. And let me make sure I'm recording. Okay. And so in this application, there's a bunch of entities. We have products and technicians and customers and countries. And one of the more complicated models is the incident model, because it's incident models we're going to start having relationships with other entities. And so an incident is going to have a customer. And so we highlighted the difference. If I kind of look at my model on a foreign key property for the customer versus a navigation property and the difference between those. But, in this lab, our customers are going to be required. And so there you can see the little required on the foreign key property. We also see validate never on the navigation property, and that's pretty standard to say validate never on a navigation property. So when we have an incident, it has a customer. Very similar, it has a product. And so the same kind of setup on our properties here for our product ID foreign key versus our navigation property. And so an incident has a customer and it has a product. The third relationship on our incidents is to a technician. Now, this one I've coded a little bit different, and I'm okay with you doing either making the technician required or making the technician optional. And so I've chosen to make the technician optional. Okay, I think if you look at the lab requirements, it says make them required, but just to show how this could be coded differently, I made the technician optional. You can choose either or, and validate never on the navigation property. And so just to kind of show what this looks like in the view, if I kind of boot this up, we've got home, products, technicians, customers, incidents. Here's our incidents. We go to add incident, and you can kind of see here, customer, let's just try and save, we get our validation. It says select a customer, required field, select a product, required field, title's required, and description is required, but you see the technician is not required. And so part of the confusion is, well, here's all of our technicians, and we kind of have this default of assign a technician, which this technician, this is doing a sort by name. That's why you're getting that alphabetical order, so it's not the first in the drop-down list. I want to show you how I've coded this in the view now, right? Because there's a difference between customers and products and technicians in the view. And so if I go to my controller, just to show you what view we're hitting, when I hit the add route, I have a method to store data in view bag, and so we're storing customers in our view bag and products and technicians in our view bag. And notice that we are going to a view called add edit. Okay, you could call this just edit, which we were doing prior to this. We were calling it just edit, but that edit view was doing multiple operations, so a better name would be add edit. So that's why we're going. When you hit this add route, we are sending it to the view that is the add edit view. So when I go to my views under incident, here's add edit, and let's look at the difference how this view, it's a strongly typed model. And if we take a look at our customers, it's a drop-down list, so it's a select HTML select tag, ASP4 customer ID, and we've hard-coded an option value of select a customer. Okay, so if you were to not provide a value of a customer ID, that's where you trigger the validation, right? If the user just hasn't made that selection and set the value here, you see the value is empty. and select a customer. And so, that's how that required field is going to work on the front end. And if you were to go and look at the product ID, it's the exact same way. Okay. Now you want to make the technician the exact same way. You can do that. Alternatively, one approach that I used in my database, I actually structured my database to have a technician with a technician ID of -1 that says assign a technician. And so this is kind of the allowed, like you can still, when the page loads, this is now an allowable technician, right? So you're going to, if I go back to the view, let me show you, I don't have, like for my product, I've hard-coded an empty value, right? But if I go down to my technician, notice in my select list, I haven't hard-coded an empty option. I'm just looping through my technicians and spitting out their ID and their name. Well, the technician ID of -1 is allowable, right? That is a value. It's not an empty string. -1 is a value, and therefore it's allowable. So if I were to add a customer and a product and a title, 1, 2, leave that blank and click save, you could see that I added my incident that does not have a technician assigned to it. Okay. However, if you don't select one of those others, the customer or the product, then you will get the validation error. So that's one approach to making technicians optional. If you don't want to do that and you want to make technicians required, totally fine. Just set up your technicians just like your customers and your products. And at that point, if you want your technicians required, you do not have to seed this dummy data, right? If you're just like your customers, you don't have a dummy customer that's -1. But this is a way of making that optional and getting that to go through. So that's one option for your assignment here. Any other questions, please let me know.